Hey guys, I'm Lynn, and you're watching A-Sides. It came from, in some of the subway stations underground in New York, it's written on the walls to street and transfer with an arrow pointing you to either an exit or a point of transfer to another line. And maybe this is a little cheesy, but being that I am so connected and invested in my relationship with New York, I kind of saw it one day while working on the project and felt like it was metaphorical for kind of my musical journey, my journey here, to street and transfer, kind of transferring your path, exiting, changing, decisions. And it just kind of felt like a proper title for a sophomore project after a few years here. The change of moving to New York was a very welcome one. I was ready and excited. I had my pennies saved. I had a dream. And, you know, growing up in Maryland, it was, it worked. But I knew that I wanted a more urban setting, I think, and a rich setting for inspiration, culture, art, music, the whole scene. So I was just excited to kind of get going. I booked my first gig in New York before I moved here. It was like the first week. And I was like, I'm doing this. It was this little divey situation, as you know, we've all done that. But just I was so eager and driven and passionate. And I think I'm still those things, but just as a newbie in New York, the culture, that's what I wanted. That's what I came for. I think there are little, almost subconscious changes to songs that you play live over and over and over again, that if I listen to the very first rehearsal recordings of a new song, and I listen to it now, like years later after playing it, I'm like, oh, I guess I originally wanted that to be an eighth note, but it's definitely not anymore. You make these little changes that's kind of, you make a mold of a song and then you kind of fill it in. And it kind of becomes what's natural, and any original, like, super rigid structure of it can kind of round out after you've been playing it for so long. And I think it's fun to kind of switch up a song that you've been playing for so long, whether it's arrangement or instrumentation or just little changes here and there to keep it exciting for a live audience as well. Yeah, I mean, my mother was a classically trained flute player. She was a music teacher. And her family and my father's side of the family are very, very musical. And I remember her brother is a pianist, and they would have duets in our house, flute and piano, like through the house. And when I started taking voice lessons and getting into choral ensembles, the vocal technique that I was met with was of a classical nature, and I knew I wanted to sing, you know, bluesy, pop, soul kind of music, but I was unbelievably impressed and in awe and full of respect for this kind of structure and technique and education and know-how of a craft that I wanted to pursue. So I don't think my mother would have, you know, hated if I went straight for the belting. Like, she wasn't gonna be a hater about that, but she had been classically trained, and I wanted to study voice and kind of just followed in that path. I mean, I do have some classical records. I got pretty interested. I mean, I love, like, Beethoven and things and things that have become more popular, and, like, Brahms is crazy. But when I got into kind of studying atonal theory a little bit in college, that was pretty crazy. And I got a little bit into listening to that. I also have some, you know, I'm a 80s baby, 90s kid, so I definitely, you know, like Third Eye Blind, you know, like some of that in there too. And then obviously I'm always talking about Aretha and Sam and Dave and Sam Cooke and Otis and the greats. So it's a mixture of all that. I really want to continue to branch out in the East Coast and, you know, Philly and Boston and, you know, do like a hometown show, Baltimore style thing, and really immerse myself in other markets. You know, I love New York, and I love that there's always a little like hole in the wall anywhere you could play any night. But I think it's so important to reach people and try to reach more people with a live show. So my goal is to start bleeding out into other East Coast cities and then just take it from there.